Have you been wondering about what's happening with the real estate market both nationally and locally? Well, you've come to the right place because that's what we're talking about today. So let's dive right in. Hi, my name's Harry Moore, and I'm a real estate agent in the DC metro area. I've been helping people buy and sell real estate for almost 26 years. Today, I'll go through national and local economic numbers and real estate stats too. If you'd like to see some projections about where the market's headed, then stick around until the end. 2020 has been quite a year. It started off very strong. The spring market pretty much started from day one. And then came the shutdown. Let's jump right into the numbers with a review of the unemployment numbers for 2019 and 2020 so far. This is national data. As you can see, unemployment shot up and peaked out at 14.7%, but it's been steadily moving down since April. As of the end of August, the national number is 8.4%. That's a huge jump from the 3 to 4% range back in January through March, and we've got a long way to go and a lot of people need to get back to work. But there's been some progress over the past few months. Now, on to the Maryland and Montgomery County numbers. In Maryland, August 6.9% versus the annual rate for 2019 of 3.6%. Montgomery County 7.4% versus the annual rate of 2.9% in 2019. So, the county's been hit harder than the rest of the state, but still below the national level. Behind all of these numbers are real people, and there's a lot of pain out there. My goal is to help people who may be thinking about making a real estate move with some data so they can make an educated decision, the best one for them. Many people expected the real estate market to go totally off the rails and that it'd be a repeat of the devastation of the Great Recession. I'm no soothsayer, and my crystal ball has been cloudy for years, but I think it's fair to say that the market has certainly surprised many of us with its resilience so far. Certainly, things could change, but mostly today I'm going to focus on the here and now. Here are two more quick slides. This is a comparison of unemployment during some of the bigger financial crises of the past century. It shows how many months of unemployment above 9% there were. As you can see, the range is from 108 months for the Great Depression down to 19 months for the oil crash in the 1980s. We could certainly see things turn around and head in the wrong direction, but for the moment, we'll just have to wait and see. Next is an interesting map put together by CNN and Moody's. They call it the Back to Normal Index. It shows all the states and how far they are towards returning to the level of economic activity seen before the shutdown. The national number is 80%, and the DMV's lagging slightly behind that, with Maryland and Virginia both at 76%. Apparently, they decided not to include DC. Not sure what that's all about. I'm not an economist, much to my dad's chagrin. He got his PhD in economics from the University of Chicago. I, on the other hand, gave up after macro my freshman year. On that note, let's move over to the real estate side of things. We'll start with this chart of the level of showing activity nationally for the past year. As you can see, things fell off a cliff in March, as we would have expected, but they've come back strong through the summer. Unfortunately, showing time doesn't break things down by state, so this graph is as granular as we can get. The DMV is all in the southern section of the country. Showing activity is a leading indicator of buyer activity. That's the first step down the path to home sales. Here's an interesting graph put together by Realtor.com. They call it the Housing Recovery Index. It aggregates those four components into an index using February 1st, 2020 as the baseline. Again, you see the huge dip down, followed by a strong upturn in early April, which has continued through August. Here's another chart that I like. I think it shows part of what's driving the market right now. It's called the Fannie Mae Home Purchase Sentiment Index. Can you say that 5 times fast? It's based on a survey of 1,000 Americans nationwide to determine their attitude towards owning or renting a home, and it includes over 100 related questions. I'm amazed that anyone would put up with a phone survey with 100 questions. I know I sure wouldn't. My big takeaway is the dramatic flip in the attitudes of sellers versus buyers. For the past couple of years, sellers have been a little more optimistic than buyers about the market by a margin, plus or minus 10%. After the March nosedive, the buyer percentage came back pretty quickly to prior levels. But the current sellers number is still 25% below the February levels, despite this being a very strong sellers market in virtually the entire country. So part of this is probably caused by health concerns. Some people don't want to have people in their homes, which is certainly understandable. And some sellers may just not be aware of the strength of the market. There are also plenty of move-up buyers who would be sellers if they felt like they could find their next house. But there's not much on the market, so they sit tight. It's the real estate catch-22 of 2020. Here are a couple of graphs for Montgomery County which show what's happened this year. These are active listings month by month. They started moving up in March, which is typical for the beginning of the spring market, but the increase went flat in April and May, and then started to fall in June. Meanwhile, new pendings, that's the demand side, moved up starting in January, then they crashed in April, but did a quick turnaround starting in May. They've moved up by 59% between May and August. So, demand is up, supply is down. Econ 101 with Ms. Finney would tell me that prices will move up, which they have. As I said in the beginning, I'll share some predictions about where the real estate market might be headed. These are national numbers from some pretty heavy hitters in the real estate space. Some are predictions for what 2020 numbers will be, and some are looking out over the next 12 months. They vary, but as you can see, most of them are positive. This chart shows something else interesting, that 3 of those sources have changed their forecast from April until now. So the market even surprised them. The local market remains strong, and I'll be watching to see how things play out for the remainder of 2020 and into 2021. How will the election impact things? Will there be the usual dip in activity for the holidays? If you're interested in tips about selling your home, click here for my sellers playlist. Thinking about buying? Then click here. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, click over there. Have a good day and stay safe.